When you find your light, that's your soul, your psyche. Astrology gives you a precise blueprint of your chart, and that can give you an understanding of the energy of that life circumstance in that specific time. The more we understand how we're perceiving ourselves based on our own unique 360 will, the more we can center ourselves and understand the things we have to transform about ourselves in order to become ourselves and see ourselves, see our light, our inner goal. When we look at astrology, we can look at the 8th house, because the 8th house, the things we have to transform in order to find our inner goal. Our inner goal would be like the 9th house, because the 9th house stems from Sagittarius, which is enlightenment. It's ruled by Jupiter, which is wisdom. It's expansion. Each house system has a triplicity. So the triplicity is going to give you a better understanding of how the chart works as a whole. Because for instance, this is the fire triplicity. The 1st, the 5th, and the 9th house. Your sense of self, your sense of expression, and then your sense of everyone else's expression. Now you come to your own conclusion and you're mutable with how you use your expression. In the 5th house, you're stemming from the Leo archetype, which is the fixed expression. You're getting your sense of self-expression. In the 1st house, you just are, your Aries, going head on first. Cardinal fire. Here we have the fixed fire, and the 9th house is the mutable fire. Then we look at the Earth triplicity, which is the 2nd, 6th, and 10th house, which is 2nd, your values. Your 6th, your work, your everyday, it's mutable Earth. Here we have fixed Earth, what you value. You're grounding your values. Here you're working on your values on an everyday, so you're mutable with what you're practicalizing. In the 3rd house, you're showing that externally. Your cardinal Earth. You're creating something practically. That's Capricorn, you're building. Then you can look at each triplicity and understand how these influences play out in your chart. I have a different archetypal structure in my life situations than other people because my ascendant, because my planets, and because my zodiac signs all combine and form this mathematical equation that's unique to me. And this is why it's unitemporal to my own unique psyche. And this is the essence of astrology, and understanding your own inner alchemy, which is understanding your goal. Everything that we're not consciously aware of, that's our darkness. Everything that we have stored within us that makes us us, that we have to transform in order to get the resources. And that's a polar opposite of the 2nd house. How can we understand those parts of ourselves that we repressed if we're not really aware of them? 95% of ourselves is unconscious. Our nervous system, all the way below, we're operating unconsciously. I can send motor and sensory neurons throughout my body without me consciously being aware of that. I'm only 5% of my thinking conscious, focusing on creating outside of the box things, and that goes as far as thinking and doing. So I'm only 5% creative. That creative space we can tap into and attune in the middle. In astrology, each house represents a life situation. In other videos, I talk about the houses and I give a brief explanation of the individual characteristics of each one. The first is the self. That's your house of your surrounding. Your I am, it's your ego. The Ram, it's Aries. The 2nd house is your values, your personal sense of self-worth. Taurus archetype, but it's first the life situations and then the zodiac signs stem from the life situations. Taurus is the bull. It's fixed, stubborn, earth. It's grounded in practicality. So Taurus knows how to build, which makes them fixed and stable. But you need your sense of values in order to get your sense of communication, and this is how each house evolves. 2nd, values. 3rd, communication, your communication style. 4th, your roots. 5th, expression. 6th, your work every day. 7th, your relationships, your partnerships, your one-on-one, the relational aspect of your life. The 8th is your transformational aspect. Now that you gain a perspective of the different relationships that you can create, now you can get a better understanding of where you want to build a deep sensation of relationship. That could be a relationship with yourself, where you do the shadow work, you build up a deep relationship with yourself. With partnerships, that could be seen in marriages or contracts. It's the deep aspects of the partnerships. And remember, it's not only relationships with other people, it's relationships with the world, with yourself, with everything around you. The 8th house can really help you understand your shadow work journey. But depending what zodiac you have in your will, that's going to determine where you rise, where your sense of self starts in your blueprint. And your blueprint is when you were born. Let's give a brief explanation about how we can alchemize our light and our darkness. How can we understand our dark, what we have to transform, our shadow work. What is the shadow? It's something within us that we're not consciously aware of. It's the shadow traits that are projected externally. That's why When we initially look at astrology, the direct opposite of the first house, which is the self, which would be the seventh house, which is your relationship with the world, with people, and mainly with yourself. So all of your relationships are formulated in the seventh house. That's how everything is reflected. But the eighth house, that gives you a better understanding on what transformational things you have to go through in order to evolve to the ninth house, which the ninth house is the house of wisdom, far out there things. It's ruled by Jupiter, Sagittarius. Once you have your sense of relationships with the world, now you understand the world, and you have to transform to gain the wisdom from all the life situations. What does this mean? That the life situations and the planets you have within those determine the influence you're putting into whatever circumstance you're looking at specifically in your chart. But it's understanding the layers of the birth chart. It's actually a practical acknowledgement of the inner cosmos. If you want to get deeper into the horoscope, looking at planets now on your birth chart, calculating whatever potential influence you could be getting. But your birth chart is like a blueprint of literally your path. You might be seeing this, you might not resonate with it. This is just me sharing my perspective based on the knowledge I've gained and everything I've applied personally in my life. Huge shadow work journey that I'm developing right now, and I'm still in the process. I don't know if you're watching this, you feel like curious about who you are. I encourage you to look at astrology and look at your eighth house. Going back to the example, the seventh house is the house of partnership, relationships. It's totally different if I have the seventh house in Aries or if I have Pisces in the seventh house. That's a very different dynamic. Pisces in the seventh house, so my relationships, I would be dealing more with mutable water, and then the seventh house in Aries would be fire, expression, the cardinal fire. So that's more action, more pioneering what relationships I want to have. You have to apply this with intuition and the energies. This is just the elements, structure, and the zodiac signs. But it's up to you to determine if it resonates or not when you start to understand it and apply that curiosity of seeking this knowledge for yourself. Know thyself. Question yourself. And there's many ways we can, through symbology, through the archetypes, through understanding the stories, the myths, the structures that we've been following in order to abide by beliefs that unconsciously keep us from becoming who we want to be. It's something that you can't really explain with words. That's why you have to tap into your unconscious by being creative with yourself, by finding those things that make you curious, that make you you. Acknowledging and sharing our perspective on who we think we are and what we have to go towards in a practical way, applying our own unique energies. So yeah,